a mystery engine that I paid a small fortune for, and it'll be up to you to tell me whether or not it was worth it. I guess we can start by saying I'm glad I didn't fix this guy up for nothing. Hey, what's up everyone? It's your buddy Matt here. Welcome back to my channel. If you recall in my swap meet video that I just posted a little while ago, I mentioned a mystery motor. Now, the actual motor that I showed in that video was not the actual motor. In fact, I hadn't even received the motor yet. I ended up just putting one of my 340 free air motors on the forklift just to make it seem as though I had the motor already. You see, I performed a social experiment social experiment of sorts. I sent a complete stranger in another country $700 US through PayPal. That's $950 Canadian, and I just hoped that he would send me what he said he was. When I shot that swap meet video, I was waiting on the package. He said he shipped it. I had a tracking number and everything, and I actually trusted the guy, and sure enough, he delivered. Well, he delivered a crate to me. I have yet to find out if there's anything in it. You know what? Let's open it up and see. Okay, so it's the moment of truth. I have not opened this up yet. I'm actually a little nervous, but I have faith. Well, there appears to be a motor in it. So I know I'm kind of stretching out the suspense here. Did you guys figure out what it is yet? Polar fire ignition, dual Mikuni carburetors, a single tune pipe. I'll give you another hint. It's from the mid-70s. All right, enough of these charades. It's a 245 RV motor. That's it. That's the mystery motor. So I guess the story behind this motor is I was on Facebook Marketplace, and in a mini bike forum of all places, someone posted this motor kind of asking what it was. And despite the hundreds of comments that were pretty much all wrong, I knew exactly what it was. A 1976 245 RV motor. I immediately messaged the individual and I offered him $700 US, shipping included, to get this engine from Kansas, where he was, to myself here in Quebec, Canada. Now, I mentioned before, this was kind of like a social experiment because I actually sent $700 US, no small sum, to a complete stranger. I wasn't friends with him on Facebook. I didn't know who he was really. And you do hear all these stories of people getting scammed. Now, this guy was in the States, I'm in Canada. But you know what? Like I said, I had faith, and I absolutely want to give a shout out to him. Peter Parker, you're a great guy. You could have scammed me several times. You even said that you received higher offers than mine. And even when you found out that shipping was more expensive than expected, you came through and you sent me this engine. Thanks, buddy. So what the heck is so special about this motor? The short answer, not all that much. This is not a race engine. It's not an engine out of a Snow Pro or a Blizzard. But if you wanted to dominate the trails in 1976, you wanted a Skidoo RV. And this engine was one of the two offered. Now, this is the 250cc version. They did make a 340, but I'd say that this one is even more rare because they only made it 1 year. 1 year with this build spec. They did make a 245 in the 1975 RV, but the pistons, the cylinder heads are a little different. I guess we could say for all intents and purposes, they're pretty much the same engine. However, 76 was the 76 and 75 was a different engine. Now, had this been a 75, it would have been worth even more money, but complete 76s are getting harder and harder to come by. I can see here I got a tune pipe for it. It says 250 on it. We'll assume that it's the correct one. I'm not sure if this is the right clutch. I think it might be. I do have the polar fire ignition, and that's actually really good because these are getting hard to come by. Whether or not it works and whether or not I'll trust it out on the trails, I'm not sure, but hey, it was in the box. We got the two Mikunis. I'll have to check and see whether or not they're the right ones for this engine. We have a wiring harness. The best would be is if we had that kill switch. Yeah, no kill switch. Those are fun to have nowadays. It's a good thing that this guy was properly crated because it did make a several 100-mile journey, and from the looks of it, it looks like it kind of got flopped around a little. But let's take it out and really inspect and see whether or not this thing was a solid buy or not. So at first glance, there's nothing too apparent that would say that this engine has a major issue. It looks like there's enough oil in the crankcase. I don't see any evident rust. I'm going to want to take this exhaust manifold off to take a look at the backside of those pistons, see if they're scored. And it did ship without spark plug, so hopefully not too much has gone in there. There is one issue. It appears to only make half a revolution. So I kind of hit up against something here. I can back it off, and then I hit back up against something. The rotary valve turns. This is oil, by the way, not scratches. If I look at, let's say, this pin here with a reference to the base, and I do my half revolution, from what I can see, the crankshaft does not look bent, at least from what I can see with that half turn. Okay, so I removed the crank in order to make sure that nothing was binding there. I also removed the exhaust manifold, and I have to admit, I was not expecting this. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this piston looks absolutely brand new. You could still see the machining marks on it. Now, normally on a two-stroke, if you ended up burning out your engine because of lack of oil or too much heat, you'll end up melting the exhaust side of your pistons. So this side here, the clutch side, looks absolutely beautiful. And the only thing I can really see on the magneto side is the intake side of the cylinder, and that looks fine. When I rotate the piston up as far as I can before it binds, I don't see any significant wear, but then again, you're gonna see that more on the bottom of the skirt. So we don't know yet, but I feel as though we're off to a good start. We're gonna have to go a little further into this engine to find out what it's binding on. Did something fall into the rotary valve? Did something fall in through the spark plug hole and now it's kind of locking up? It could be something silly like that. I'm not applying too much pressure, but at the same area, both forwards and reverse, you end up hitting something that's snagging. All right, so really wasn't expecting on taking a break, but a lot of stuff happened, and I explained it in my previous video. You can go check that out if you want to. But it's winter time now. So let's keep taking this guy apart to find out why the heck it doesn't want to turn over all the way. So please pay no attention to these block-off plates. I am shooting my crank seal video at the same time that I'm doing this one, so I ended up making plates and blocking off the intake and the exhaust ports. Right now what I'd like to do is remove the flywheel in order to see if anything is jammed up in there. Now we could go ahead and remove this recoil cup, but we don't actually have to. All we got to do is remove the big nut in the middle. I'm going to use my impact wrench to do that and use a puller in order to get that flywheel off. All right, so the flywheel looks pretty good. The stator, on the other hand, appears to have some corrosion over here on one of the wires. There might be more corrosion elsewhere. We'll have to take that plate off and inspect it a little better. But I just want to see right now if there was any interference causing my lockup. And unfortunately for me, as I rotate the engine, it still appears to snag every 180 degrees. I turn all the way to one end and it hits, and I kind of go all the way back and it hits again. So there doesn't appear to be any interference at this end. So I get the feeling it can only be one of two things right now. Either it's one of the pistons that's snagging, I don't think so, or something wrong with the rotary valve. So let's go ahead and remove the rotary valve cover and check and see if something is interfering in there. Okay, so wonderful news. The engine is turning over once again, and it's turning over extremely smoothly. I took the spark plugs out to make sure I wasn't getting any compression, but no, it's turning over really, really nice. So I noticed that this gasket here, or the O-ring on it, is severely chewed up. I'm not sure if the rotary valve cover was badly installed. Yeah, there is a little bit of damage over here and a little bit of scraping. Did someone try to sand that down? And over here, there's some more significant damage. I can catch that with my nail. And again, someone sanded that down. So did something get in here at some point? Not so sure. Let's check out the actual rotary valve. I don't see anything directly wrong with that. And the cover. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong there either. So yeah, nothing really jumps out at me, but the good news is this engine is not seized. Overall, it appears to be in decent condition. All right, so I have to say that I was a little bit nervous. The fact that the engine didn't want to turn over the entire 360 degrees, but we appear to have that sorted out. Not too sure what the problem is yet, but I'm sure it's nothing major. From what we can see with the pistons, they appear to be in good condition. I'm anxious to tear this engine apart. I actually went out, I have the rebuild kit, at least the seals and gaskets. Hopefully the rest of it is okay. If not, we'll have to buy parts, but I'm looking forward to rebuilding this engine, or at least freshening it up if the parts are in good condition. But you guessed it, that's gonna be for another video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. Sign it out.